I did it again, you guys. I was watching some fun trans content, and all I could hear was the hypocrisy and the contradictions. Hi everybody, Rad Mom here. Welcome back to the channel, where today we're going to be looking at Buck Angel.
It is actually absurd. It's actually insulting, and I think we need to start pushing back on these people for their misinformation, their lies, and really a lot here. It feels very misogynist to me. As you know, I cannot do this without you. Pushing back on this insanity is because you help me push back on it. And today I want to have a little bit of a laugh, to be honest with you. I'm going to try not to be too serious, though it does happen. I can't help myself because I get so sort of irritated with this nonsense.
A very relatable sentiment indeed. I was perusing this person's content, and this interview piqued my curiosity.
Your honest opinion. I'm not going to call you a transphobe, just so you know.
It is everything. It's AGP, it's feminism, it's the little children, it's everything. Let's go.
I really value my time with you, Eve. You're so great. You're very smart. I really do care that me and you can create a bridge, and whether or not we agree on certain matters. I mean, we have to start to get back to some sense of finding these spaces, even if we disagree. We really do, because it's the only way it's going to save our community.
Which community they're actually referring to here is never made exactly clear. It could be the gay community. It could be the trans community. Sometimes they seem to use the two interchangeably, but they could literally be talking about all community.
Because it's the only way it's going to save our community. It really is. By pushing these crazies out of and getting rid of these people who are pretending to be something that they're not.
Who's pretending to be something that they're not?
I think in your email you said you felt like you were AGP.
Oh, no, I'm an AAP. I'm an autoandrophile.
And I believe this is why this interview happened. Because this woman, Eve, has a very interesting perspective on all of this.
Oh, no, I'm an AAP. I'm an autoandrophile, which is the female version of an AGP, who are these trans lesbians, these wonderful, wonderful men telling women to suck their chicks or their bigots.
And they're trying to pretend that they're just coming in to be women and live their life. No, they're not. No. They're totally destroying everything and doing weird, creepy shit on the side.
Not so many of these women are out doing weird, creepy shit on the side. And I would argue that's because women feel less entitled to shit like that.
Wow. So, I didn't know that women could actually have that.
And what it means is I, fantasize about inhabiting the male body and everything that goes along with it.
And Buck essentially admits during the course of this interview that she probably suffers from something similar.
Now, I'm like really low on the rung because I gave up pornography when I was like in my late teens, early 20s.
Somebody else!
The first time I watched seriously, I was really turned off. I found it very exploitive. It just wasn't for me. So I just walked away from it all those years ago. And so I haven't really evolved my AAP.
Okay.
It's just been like where it is.
Okay.
So when I look at these AGPs that are out here, suck my chick or you're a bigot, like I understand how their minds work because my mind works in the same way, but I'm not half as warped. I haven't watched the porn. I haven't taken that journey.
Yeah, sure.
So when I look at them, I understand how much porn they've had to consume, how much degeneration they've had to go through to get to the point where they want to start taking estrogen.
She is literally preaching to the choir, right?
Where they want to invert their penises, Buck. Right. I'm telling you, when I say that we cannot build enough asylums, and even if we could, we could not possibly staff them.
Yes, because it's the practical concerns that are really at issue here.
Because these people, when we take away trans rights, they will lose their shit, and they need already long-term inpatient mental health care.
Yeah.
Already.
For sure. Already, right.
You are speaking to one of them.
And when they lose their trans rights, when they lose their rights to women's spaces,
Yeah, right.
they are going to throw fits.
And the look on Buck's face, I think Buck knows it too.
Won't do it.
If you'd have told me at 15 that they were going to be putting these kind of books in schools,
That's right.
because of the marching and the signs that I was making, and the sit-ins at the state
Just wow.
capitol that I was doing, and I would have never believed you. But if you had shown me proof, I would have just washed my hands and walked away. I would have never done another thing for the community.
I guess she's talking about the gay community here, but thank you so much for the admission of guilt. Thank you so much for the admission that one of these things inadvertently helped the other. Because addressing this, I think, is probably the first step to fixing some of this.
I know.
And honestly,
I know.
I'm at the point where if I lose the right to marry a woman, I'm kind of okay with it, because I feel like I
hear
didn't
you.
police my community enough.
I hear you. It's not our community.
I hear you. Oh, except no. It's not our community. Yeah, it is. Eve feels defeated. And Buck is defensive, because Buck is part of the fucking problem. Buck represents the Trojan horse that allowed people who want to bend material reality to their whim in the door.
These people came and stole our community. These people co-opted our community. That's not our, we need to take it back. That's how I feel about it. I'm locked and loaded and ready to take it back. I'm not kidding. They took it from us. They created all of these words to push us out. That's what they're doing. They're literally taking all these words and like making us these people. And
Oh, now all of a sudden you're concerned about words?
I get what you're trying to do. I'm not dumb. And so that being said, I know your intentions by calling me she or doing those things. Like,
But do you think that that's with the intention to like disrespect you?
yes, 100% I do.
Because that's what you would do.
It's actually not to disrespect you. The reason why I use sex-based pronouns
But I think Brittany said it best.
is because I believe that language is instrumental in how we formulate society, and it leads to the changing of laws. I think that when we begin to validate things like gender identity, it starts with language. And eventually, when that culture begins to adopt that as truth, present, we've already seen it now with the dictionary, such as, a woman is somebody who is either an adult human female or somebody who identifies as a woman. And once we change that definition,
I agree.
every piece of legislation where the word woman appears now has a meaning that includes certain men. I really believe in gatekeeping and maintaining a truthful speech because of the broader implications and how that turns into legislative changes, cultural changes, and things like that. And it's not to insult the individual.
I don't feel insulted because I agree with a lot of what you said.
You agree. You have to agree because that's logic.
And I don't think it helps me as a transsexual to pretend that I'm a man.
So, why do you?
taking all these words and like making us these people, and I'm transphobic, and you know what I mean? I was like, what? You can't call another trans person. You have internalized transphobia. No, I have internalized hate towards idiots who try to mess with kids.
A big time projection alert right here. Who's the idiot who's trying to mess with kids?
Blair and I are focused on the kids. Where Blair and I sort of intersect with this is that we're trying to see the bigger picture.
Oh, but you have your reasons, right?
And we're trying to save people like us who need this situation and who really are transsexual.
But how exactly do you know that someone is really transsexual?
No, I have internalized hate towards idiots who try to mess with kids. I care about kids not getting surgery and hormones and just letting them be fucking kids. Fuck off.
Seriously, just leave the kids alone.
Why weren't you concerned before? Why do all of your concerns reflect nothing but your own experience? You're projecting your own experience onto innocent bystanders just like these people you're pointing and yelling at, calling them fake trans. It's the pot calling the kettle black there, Buck.
Oh my God.
It's so sick.
Stop it with
I'll
the
never
whole-
shut up. Blair and I are focused on the kids. So
No,
leave the
it's
kids alone.
transodium. It's transodium. You hate trans people for what they're doing. That's
Okay,
what
there
that
you go.
suffix means, odium.
That's
what that means.
awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
Did everybody catch that? Transodium. We have a vocabulary word of the week this week. What fun.
Tell us what you think about, in your honest, real opinion about what's happening and what you think we can do to sort of help this stuff stop. Your honest opinion. I'm not going to call you a transphobe, just so you know. Or a TERF, or a bigot, or a Nazi.
Right. We're not saying any of that stuff.
Biggest thing, well, it's like, stop, because there's so much, Buck.
I know.
There's so much. If we're talking about the kids,
Why exactly are we talking about the kids?
the
Yeah.
biggest thing we can do is get to the parents.
Phrasing. Okay, I do like this answer. Because, yeah, if you want to communicate with kids, getting to their parents first is probably best.
Let's start here. I'm not a parent,
Okay.
and I'm exceedingly judgmental of parents because I understand what it is to be a good parent. And I made a choice at the age of 22 to get a tubal ligation because I understand that I don't want to be a parent because I understand what goes into it and I'm not willing to do it. So I took the
Excellent.
responsibility upon myself to not have kids.
This is what I'm always saying. If you don't want kids, please don't have them. Thank you.
Right?
Good for you.
So I really looked down my nose at bad parenting.
Don't we all look down our noses at bad parenting? I think there might be some debate about what bad parenting is in practice, but we all know it when we see it.
Sorry, parents. I'm a bitch. Parents have really stopped raising their kids. They are no longer active participants in raising their children.
Here's the thing. I don't disagree with this assessment overall. I think this is a trend that we've all noticed that's only gotten worse over a long period of time.
And you need to accept the fact that you need to take responsibility and
Yeah.
be the adult. You need to lay down laws. You need to tell your kids no. And
That's right.
fuck whatever tantrums they want to throw.
That's right. That's right.
But people, nobody wants to be a parent anymore. Nobody wants to be the bad guy.
I don't think that's it. I don't think that's what it is. You got to remember that a lot of these parents are just as addicted to those devices as the kids are. How in the hell you think the kid got that way in the first place?
Somebody's
No,
got to
I
be.
spoke about-
Otherwise, your child is going to grow up to be a sex offender. Is that what you want?
Oh, she does support that. I'll link the full interview down below. She does support that. Really strong assertion. That is some strong tea, right? Woo!
These high school AGPs are already attacking girls in locker rooms and bathrooms.
I saw-
Unless you want your child to grow up to be a sex offender, you need to take the reins.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Parents need to take responsibility for their kids.
I love this discussion of parenting from two childless people, but they're not wrong. Some things are just true, aren't they?
Well, we need to bring back parenting. I think parents have been totally gaslit, and I also think we're giving kids this. We're giving those trans kids this sort of ammunition against their parents. So they're trying to break up families, and that's part of the whole agenda is to break up the family
Absolutely.
unit, to give the kid a way to say go f yourself to the parents. All of it. So parents are now pushed into a space that if they don't affirm their child, they can snatch the child away. People, don't you see the whole thing being totally geared towards breaking up families, snatching children so these people can actually get your... I see the whole thing. You just added another layer for me.
And I left this in because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. What was that? She sounds like my grandfather talking about the gays. Like, I don't really have a great response to this one because this part kind of broke my brain. People said this about standardized education too, right? And it can be used that way. You know, I think part of the difficulty lies in the fact that being trans and being gay are both things that you feel on the inside that don't necessarily become true in the material sense until you act upon them, right? And I think we need to explore the boundary line here. I am neither, so I'm probably not the person to do that, but hey, Buck, here's a video topic for you for free. Mwah.
Even if you get a phalloplasty, which
Doesn't matter.
Buck, I'm telling you something. I was an agnostic all my adult life and most of my
Okay.
teen years.
Okay.
I saw my first phalloplasty on X.
Yep.
I literally saw the absence of God.
She means she saw it on the app formerly known as Twitter, not Ecstasy. Although that response is like out of this world.
Wow.
It was I'm not kidding you. It was the first time I ever saw living flesh devoid of the divine.
That is amazing. I think it's a bit of an extreme reaction considering how many people have transplanted parts these days. But
So sad.
edited to add here that I do not think Buck really grasps what Eve is saying at all. Oh, how sad. Buck is acting like, you know, Eve is talking about her dead cat. Like no. I really feel like Buck is just playing along and does not really quite grasp the gravity of what Eve is trying to tell her.
I've never believed in a single God before. I do now.
Wow.
Because
That's-
it was the first time I had seen living flesh that was devoid of the divine. Like I don't say this to be like mean or cruel or
Oh no, I
demeaning.
don't think that.
Buck, honey, nobody thinks you think that. The way that she's just, oh yeah, I hear you. Like after every half statement this woman makes, like shut up and let your guests talk, please.
I
But
don't think that.
the only way I can describe it
Yeah.
is a Frankendick. And I say that because it looks like something Dr. Frankenstein sewed on his monster because he wanted to watch his monster get down.
Frankendick put the fear of God in Eve, y'all.
Like
It's,
no, I mean
you
like
know,
the stitches
it's
marks
sad.
and like
I
that's
know.
genuinely
I've
what it
seen
looked
them.
like. That
I've seen them. My friend has them, and so do other people I know. And you know, it's within the
breaks my
trans
heart.
male. No, in the trans male community, it's something very. There's a lot of divide around it, and as you know, I don't have it, and I
Yeah.
actually really pushed for people not to get it. I'll tell you, I'm very happy I didn't do that surgery. Now, that being said, I don't want any trans man out there to think that I'm
yeah.
saying something about. If you choose to do that as an adult, it's your choice.
Because we wouldn't want to make a definite statement about anything that might offend somebody.
But we all know it doesn't work. We know
It
it,
doesn't.
but they're still doing them. Guys are suffering from these surgeries.
No, women are suffering from these surgeries. Because if you were a guy, you wouldn't need a phalloplasty.
So the thing for me is that they're not being honest to these guys, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, we can do this," and da 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 da, and they can't. It just doesn't work.
No.
And there's a lot of things that are missing in the situation that we're not having a really logical, honest conversation about.
I wonder why we can't have a logical, honest conversation about stuff like this when the people who are attempting to lead this conversation clearly have an axe to grind.
It's a very sad space to try to change everything, right?
Agreed.
I did this very slow and very methodical.
What difference does that make to the statement you just made? How is that not still epically sad?
And here I sit today. I look like a dude. People think I'm a dude. That's all I cared
That
about.
glorious
That's not healthy.
beard. I mean, I love a beard, and you got beard game.
Don't touch my beard.
Oh, don't worry. I won't.
I don't feel any disrespect. You're welcome to your opinion, and that's why I love making my channel, because I don't want to be that guy that doesn't let people have an opinion. I think it's important. Your opinion is valid. It's totally valid with me.
And this is an example again of like the narcissistic behavior, because I think Buck is really good at like covering it up and like appearing to be a really magnanimous and open and even-minded person. And I feel like she really treasures that idea of herself as an open and even-minded person, right? But like, that's why she loves to have her channel, so she can show everybody what an open and even-minded person she is.
And that's how you feel about Blair.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Yeah.
And if I've never seen an apology.
Apparently, Buck is friends with Blair White, and the topic of whether or not Blair White is a misogynist came up. I'm gonna go with yeah.
Or I've never seen it
Okay.
addressed. Maybe
Okay.
it was addressed at some point. I've never
Yeah,
seen
maybe.
it addressed. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so but
Well, they call her a turf now. Her and I are turfs. Just so you know.
Welcome to the club.
It's so messy.
I'm not even a turf. That's
The
the
whole
hilarious
thing
thing.
is
I'm not
messy.
a turf. I'm not
mean,
a
I mean,
feminist.
I don't even know what a feminist is anymore.
It's like catching somebody talking about you when they don't think you're listening, isn't it? Nobody knows what the fuck feminism is anymore, but that's our in.
I don't even.
I'm like this. I'm half black, okay, and as a black woman, I'm never going to be a feminist. I didn't get the right to vote. I didn't get the right to vote until 1965.
I hear you, friend.
Because those
I hear
white women took a
That's
whole
right.
bunch of free labor from black women and then
That's
kicked us to the curb as soon as they could, so that they could have the right to vote.
That is fucking disgusting. And, clearly, as with all American politics, there's some racism that needs to be addressed here.
So
It's horrible.
American feminism is rotten at the roots, and I would
I believe
never,
it.
ever, ever call myself a feminist.
By that logic, you shouldn't call yourself an American either. But I bet you do. This is so heartbreaking. You're discussing the co-option of the gay rights movement, meanwhile describing the co-option of the feminist movement and demonstrating just how effective it has been. So thanks.
Yeah.
Now,
that's
do
right.
I hate feminism? No, I won't co-sign it. I
Yeah,
won't
good
join
for
that
you.
club. That's all.
Good for you. I think
I'm
that
an
says a lot about you.
egalitarian.
Yeah. I think that says a lot about feminism and the state of things and the fact how this woman who's sitting here saying a lot of feminist things, who, believes a lot of feminist things for the betterment of womankind, okay? Doesn't consider herself to be one.
I'm just
Yeah,
an
right on.
egalitarian. I want
That's
equal
right.
rights for everybody.
Obviously, everybody wants equal rights for everybody. That is what egalitarianism is. You just described the basic essence of leftism. Good job.
I just
Everyone.
want everybody, to live a good life and have.
That's right.
You know?
I sit in that space. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
It's like, just do your thing. Just get out of my way. There's enough room for all of us. What there
Absolutely.
not enough room for is what we're talking about right now,
these
which is these
AGPs.
people doing this weird stuff and pretending they're trans and then like totally derailing the whole space. They're derailing everything. Now everyone hates us.
Everyone hates us. Who exactly is us? Are we talking about the gay community? The trans community? This one sounds more like we're leaning towards the gay community now.
Because these people are running the
Yeah.
space. Do you know that? They're the ones who are
Absolutely.
running. They're running the whole thing.
Absolutely. But that was their
And it makes
whole
sense.
intention. That was
How
their
did it
entire
happen?
intention.
Because as she mentions in a minute, they're the ones who have been funding the whole damn venture the whole time.
How did
So-
they get the key to the house? I
Okay.
don't understand.
Asks the Trojan horse.
Okay, so from what I can tell, and I would love it if like a slightly twisted female or if somebody else out there has got more info, hook me up.
Jennifer Bilek. Google her. Bilek.
But from what I
Okay.
can tell, what happened here was the NGOs, right, like GLAAD and
Yes.
the non-government organizations,
Yes.
understood that once gays got the right to marry, they were out of a job.
That's right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So they needed other causes.
Mhm.
So they added the T.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
transsexual very quickly became transgender,
I remember noticing that too.
That's right.
right?
That's right. Hmm.
And they snuck that in. I never knew that transsexual became transgender.
That's right.
The T just stayed. Nobody, like literally nobody told me.
And apparently she's a lesbian or something. I have never considered myself a member of this particular community. That change just kind of flew on by me.
Yeah, so they snuck that in. And then those couple of rich AGPs started throwing huge money at the NGOs. And the NGOs have done their bidding.
Their basic thesis throughout this interview is that AGPs are running the whole show and ruining it for everyone. And her argument is that they have equated paraphilias with sexualities. The whole, trying to lump in MAPS with homosexuals thing. She draws a pretty firm distinction between paraphilias and sexuality, which I think is pretty instructive.
They have done all their lobbying. They have done
God.
everything those AGPs have wanted.
Wow. Just
And-
wow.
Yeah. And yes, we got the right to marry. And so now those NGOs literally do not give a about us.
Welcome to the club. You sound just like all the TERFs that I've been talking to for years.
Nope.
And they don't. And they are happy to continue using LGB.
That's right.
They want to ride our backs, destroy our good name, destroy all the goodwill we have built,
That's
spent
right.
decades building. They want to, and we fought so hard to keep fetishists out.
I know. I was part of that. I'm
70s,
61.
80s.
Far be it from me to judge somebody's sex life that I've never met. But were you?
This is not what we marched for, Buck. This is
No.
not what we rallied for. This is not what
Nope.
we made signs for. This is not what we
That's right.
posted flyers for. This is not what we went and sat in government, buildings for. This is not what all that work was for.
That's right.
So, but that's how they got into that space, is they went in through the NGOs.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have been part of this community, using that loosely, for 31 years, okay?
Buck establishes at one point that she was a homosexual woman for half of her life and has been trans for half of her life. So which community are we talking about you've been a member of for 31 years? It almost sounds as if it really is one big thing that you have helped corrupt.
And I'm going to tell you, it hasn't been until the last 5 or so years that this particular type of trans woman has come and literally overrode the whole space.
But here is the true villain. Bum, bum, bum.
They're
Well,
the
it's
ones
good.
who are in charge. They're the ones who are making a mess out of everything. They're the ones who are demanding. They're the ones saying trans women are women. Yeah.
Buck, they're the ones that have been financing it this entire time, however. Don't forget that. They're
Totally
the ones
agree.
that have been financing
That's
this.
right.
This is
That's
what
right.
they want.
And who fell for all this early on? Hook, line, and sinker.
That's right.
I mean, I know I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist, but I'm telling you, I know how they think.
Do you notice this, friend? They never say gay. They say
Yeah.
LGBTQ now. They
and
never.
then they say trans. Any gay person is LGBTQ.
I
but then
know,
trans
it's-
people are trans.
Like, now y'all worried about words? Why in the fuck weren't y'all worried about this 20 fucking years ago? Why in the hell was the slippery slope argument a myth 20 years ago? And now all of a sudden, this is exactly the argument you guys are trying to make.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Everyone out there, listen to what we're saying, and you'll see it now. They never say gay anymore.
Like, maybe you guys should have objected to them shuffling the language around back when we were still talking about material reality.
They only say LGBT, and trans, they say trans. It's crazy. They're wiping us out.
Us? So now we're talking about the gay community? I don't understand. Buck, are you a lesbian? Who lives as a man? Why is anyone supposed to listen to you about anything? That doesn't make a damn bit of sense.
This is heavy. It's heavy. It's gross. I can't stand it. I know.
I
don't even want to be a part of this community anymore. I left the trans community. I'm not
Yeah.
part of it. I refuse
I
to be
don't
part
blame
of
you.
that community.
You don't get to do that. That's not how this works.
I do feel more closer to the LGB.
Maybe you should have thought of that before you went and did all this stuff to yourself.
It's why I do see why it wants to split, and I do support that. And it's not that I'm bailing on trans, it's
Because you can't do that, can you?
that I do not in any way, shape, or form connect to any of that stuff. That is not part of why I transitioned.
Now, I do believe that. I believe that Buck did not transition to predate on children. I do believe that. However, this has been an unintended consequence of your behavior.
And I do feel more connected to sexuality on some level.
Than the imaginary gender feels in your head. Yes, that would be on the physical level.
And then my transness is just a way for me to live this way.
Yeah.
It's all it is. It doesn't, I'm not a man.
Then why do you live as a man? And what exactly does that mean? Was that beard worth it?
I'm not a man.
Yeah.
I'm a transsexual who wants to look like a man. It's totally, I don't take on all that bullshit that they're talking about.
You don't get to decide that. You do not get to dictate how the world sees you. Because you don't get to police the thoughts of others.
Ask yourself, Buck, who's going to benefit from this? Who's going to benefit from paraphilias being dubbed sexual orientations? Sexual predators. That's who's going to benefit. Who's going to bet? Literally, we're going to normalize sexual predation doing that.
So what we have here are two people suffering from the same paraphilia, one of whom has pursued it as a lifestyle, as an identity, discussing what might happen if we normalize that. I just wanted to remind us all what frame we're looking at this through.
There's a good chance that they might just say, the cost of Social Security, the cost of mental health care, and the potential cost of violence erupting in the country, it might be worth it to just say, well, sorry, ladies, deal with it.
Like they always do.
Spoken like a woman.
Like they always do, because
Like
we're
they
just
yeah.
women.
Because you're just
We're
women.
just women. We're
That's
just
why.
women.
That's why I'm pissed about the whole thing. As a biological female
As if we could forget.
who pretty much lived half my life in a very female space,
You see, and this is how Buck tries to have her cake and eat it too. Because are you a lesbian? Are you a trans man? I feel like you aren't supposed to be able to be both at the same time. The rules are squishy. Are you defending the gay community? Are you defending the trans community from these fakers? Do you somehow think it's both? Because you just described how trans is gay erasure. So, how on earth you can possibly defend the trans community and the gay community at the same time? Let me know down in the comments how in the world you think that's possible.
Yeah.
as a gay woman, also I fought for women's rights, and I'm
Absolutely.
still a biological female, people.
Yeah,
and I feel very attached to that.
No kidding. You could have fooled me.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
going to just
I
turn
feel
my
like
back.
Just like you're not going to turn your back on being trans. Because you can't.
I feel like it should still affect you, even though
It
you live
does.
as a man.
I have a wife.
You're still a woman. You just said so. So, if you have a wife, that does make you a lesbian, right? I'm just trying to keep up here.
And also, I want to remind people, this is not a transphobic conversation.
And here we go. We have to be sure to control the narrative, lest anyone be offended. Lest anyone think we were transphobic. Because we're transorphic, remember? That's our vocabulary word of the day. I hope you've been taking notes, because there will be a quiz at the live stream at the top of the hour.
This is called real talk. This is real talk.
It's like I grew up
Yeah.
with gay community. I came out, I think, in '93. It's like it's not
It's
at
not
all from a place of hate, and everybody wants to say it's from a place of hate, and it's like, guys, it's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of realism.
Yep. Welcome to the club.
I'm looking at the situation. I'm thinking critically.
That's right.
I'm following things through to logical
That's right.
conclusions. I'm
That's
trying to
right.
figure out, how do we get the toothpaste back in the tube?
That is an excellent way to put it. And who the hell knows? It is very difficult to imagine everything just sort of rolling back to the before times. it almost sounds as if Buck might regret transitioning a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like, maybe on some level, she realizes that she's the one who let the fox into the henhouse. There's no such thing as a real transsexual. It's a mental illness. And you've demonstrated that for us pretty well here, I think, in some of the doublespeak that you've engaged in. This is some pretty serious cognitive dissonance that you apparently live with and are completely unaware of. Love and healing to you, honey. And I have been Rad Mom. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel so we can all work together to bring feminism back into the real world, because we desperately need it. We need to figure out what that is. And that is our mission here on the Rad Mom channel. Join us at the top of the hour for the live stream and discussion where the debate continues. And I'll see you then. Bye.